My life is in turmoil, and I barely noticed. Like, oh no, I'm poor rich boy Zach Braff.
Mm. I made this movie to sleep with Natalie Portman.
Oh, they didn't sleep together. That'd be cool. He did get himself mounted. So I was. So this is Ray and Trey talk about movies with no official title.
We should come up with a title.
I liked Ray and Trey.
I'm good with that too, but I mean, I'm not sure if we can like copyright that.
I've never copywritten anything.
Neither have I. This would be a first.
You're like Ray and Trey silicone? Oh, what's film made out of?
Hey Siri, what's film made out of?
You have an iPhone?
No.
Oh.
I don't want an iPhone.
Silicone. Is it silicone?
It might be silicone.
I feel like it's silicone. So anyway, Garden State is one of my guilty pleasure movies.
You sure you don't want to still work on an opening?
What?
Nothing. Garden State, favorite movie.
Like, it's not. I don't have favorite movies.
I know, but you said it was one of your favorites like 3 seconds ago.
It is one of my favorite movies, but it's a guilty pleasure movie for me. Mostly because like I saw it when I was in high school, and it spoke to me on a bullshit level. A bullshit. I'm the center of the world, and my problem is I don't feel enough, or whatever. Kind of level, and there's Natalie Portman being awesome in it, or semi-awesome, but like it does fall into a lot of the mediocre, boring guy tropes. So like
the everyman tropes.
Yeah, well, not the everyman, just the mediocre guy tropes, and like there's all these people around him, and Zach Braff's just kind of glazing through until like he doesn't. And everything in the movie is in service to Zach Braff instead of. But I feel like little bits of the movie are really good and kind of fight against that altogether, because like his best friend's mom still has something going on. It does feel like there's a history to the town. Like, I love his aunt. His aunt might be one of my favorite characters.
Oh wow!
And her singing like 3 times a lady. And there's lots of good gags in it. And Natalie Portman isn't like solely there. Like a lot of people say Natalie Portman's solely there just to service him and just to be for his development, but she kind of has a little arc too.
Well, maybe the character was written to be there, but Natalie Portman's actually just a pretty good actress, which surprised me post prequels. But then I saw V for Vendetta, and I'm like, wow, she can act. This is real. Who knew? And also, no one can sing once, twice, 3 times a lady like Newman from Seinfeld.
No, that was my favorite. I was just talking about. I love that. Like the first time I hated it, but now I love it. I was just watching it, and watching it, it did kind of bring me back, and I had like, oh, I still love this movie on several levels. Like at the core, it is about 2 kind of fucked up people that get along and fall in love, even if it doesn't feel like it's quite all there.
Mm-hmm.
Feels very intentional, and I think the soundtrack has the most.
Sorry about my dog, by the way.
What? Don't apologize for dogs.
She's being a dummy. Making a bunch of noise. I'm so professional.
It's okay. What did you think of Garden State? One of my favorite movies.
Haven't seen it.
What? That was the whole point of the exercise.
I know. We can come back to it.
Oh man, because I'm supposed to talk about my guilty pleasure movie and then talk about the things that are wrong with it.
Okay. Well, you can still talk about the things that are wrong with it. I've read a synopsis that says that you're not supposed to go off your antidepressant meds.
The problem is he was on too many antidepressant meds, which that might be a good criticism. But another one is his dad pretty much just wrote medication things for whatever. So he's pretty much stoned all the time. But yeah, you're not supposed to go off your antidepressant meds without though he does go to the doctor for it.
Okay.
He gets doctor approval. Okay.
So get doctor's approval before you go off any meds, audience.
Okay, so does you're gonna have to watch it and tell me what you think of it, and
I will.
tell me if the guilt part of my guilty pleasure is really as deserved, or if the internet has overhyped the shallowness of Natalie Portman's part.
Well, first off, I mean, you get to have an opinion regardless of what those other schlubs on the internet think.
Right.
So, but I mean, also, so what are you talking about? They've overhyped it. Like they've specifically said that she's like there just to service him, and like.
Well, yeah. Are you familiar with the Manic Pixie Dream Girl trope? Okay. So the Manic Pixie Dream Girl, it goes off a lot of like first time novel kind of things. So Fahrenheit 451. Have you read it?
No.
Man. What school? Homeschool, right? Homeschool. Okay, so in homeschool, fact, in Fahrenheit 451, there's the main character Montag, and he's a firefighter. But in Fahrenheit 451, firefighters don't like stop fires; they actually put illegal books down.
Oh, yes, I have heard of this. It's very Orwellian, right?
Right. They burn books, and no books are allowed because that gets in the way of the magazine and the television and the media, like controlling everyone's mind.
The government-controlled media.
Yeah. So, but Montag one day like meets his neighbor, and it's just like a 16-year-old girl, and she's like in love with nature, and she doesn't do what other people do, and she doesn't watch TV, and she's like, look at life through a different way. And then he talks to her like twice, and then she disappears like off screen, and you never see her again.
Because she was taken in by the state and blackbagged? Or
something like that. So so she was only there to give the main character motivation, or to start him off on his character development. So it's using a woman solely as a plot device is the kind of Manic Pixie Dream Girl thing. And
is it different from solely using a man as a plot device? Because there's still a lot of the, best friend in a romantic comedy tropes.
Well, yeah, that's a side character, but it's a similar kind of thing. Only it happens more often to women, where the guy is just the main character. So that's what makes it a trope.
I still see a lot of women being sent off by side characters. I mean, Sleepless in Seattle kind of did that, and
this is where the argument is, though. So in so then that's repeated several times, like, and then whenever people talk about the trope, like they bring up Garden State as like one of the key things for this.
Okay.
And I'm like, what? Garden State? I love Garden. Which I can love something that's flawed. I can accept that, and I do see the flaw in it. But I do see there's a little bit more to her character than a lot of people give her credit for, or give them credit for. But everything in the movie is clearly like there to service and help Zach Braff's character along.
Well, because he's the main character, though, right?
Not necessarily. There's a way to do it to feel forced, and then there's a way to do it where it's naturally and it's like really good.
Sure.
They just don't. He doesn't quite hit that really good magic, which is his first film, and with a lot of male writers of screen and book, like their first thing usually goes along this first path of a male trying to find himself in life, and he's just helped out with the magic girl.
Do you have any other examples of this?
Yeah. I had them, and then you asked.
This is why we should do show notes. We're so professional.
No, then there's Ruby Sparks, which is a really good one. And Ruby Sparks is a bit of a deconstruction because in it, Ruby Sparks is the manic pixie dream girl, but she is literally created by the man. So like the man's writing about like himself or whatever. He's trying to be a writer, and he writes. He pretty much makes up Ruby Sparks, and next thing he knows, like there she is in his house, and he doesn't know how, but she doesn't like know anything about herself except for what he writes down.
Okay.
So he literally has to like create this woman. And then another one, it's Elizabethtown, I think it's called. I think it's Elizabethtown, and that has Orlando Bloom and the woman who played Mary Jane in the first Spider-Man movies. What's her name?
Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah, Kirsten Dunst. And in that, Kirsten Dunst is Elizabeth, and she's the Manic Pixie Dream Girl. So it's about this guy who's flying to a funeral, and he's really sad. And no, it's about this guy who's about to commit suicide, but then he gets a call that one of his family members died, and there's no one to organize the funeral. So he he's like, okay, I'll go organize this funeral, then I'll kill myself. And Kirsten Dunst is a flight attendant on there who then sees him and then keeps him company on the flight and then stalks him off the plane and like follows him and like just follows around the whole movie, like trying to cheer him up and stuff, and doesn't have any character to her own.
Okay, so the issue is that they don't have any character. And they don't show any character?
Yeah, and it's all really...
Because I was going to say, this sounds like side characters to me, but I haven't looked into this trope. I'm not on Tumblr. I don't know.
I knew this before.
Why I'm asking about them.
Well, I knew about the Manic Pixie Dream Girl thing before Tumblr, because there's a lot of...
I'm just saying in general. I'm not saying that's Tumblr related. But the tropes, I don't know this trope, and that's why I'm trying to ascertain from you. So, educate me. Unless you're done talking about it.
So yeah, well, I look forward to seeing your opinion of Garden State.
Sure.
Like after I watched it, I felt like it doesn't deserve all of the straight up hate that it gets, but I can see where people kind of edge in on there on it.
Yeah.
Can you hear my washing machine? I figured it would be done by the time we started.
No, I can't hear your washing machine.
Rock on. Okay. So now your guilty pleasure movie. I'm going to let you talk about why it's your guilty pleasure, and then I'll give you my opinion on it.
What did I pick for my guilty pleasure movie? Cable Guy?
Cable Guy.
Cable Guy. Okay.
Cable Guy.
There you are. Okay. So first off, I don't not believe in guilty pleasures, but there are a few things I find guilty about these movies. But this is not the first movie I mentioned that I love when it comes to telling people what movies I do and do not love. So The Cable Guy, I believe I first saw this on TV. And it was back in middle school and high school when I still loved everything Jim Carrey did because I loved The Mask growing up. Ace Ventura was funny. It was a lot of fun. This was at the point, Dumb and Dumber still remains one of the funnier movies that I know of. And so he really could do no wrong. And it's before I realized, it was before Matthew Broderick, in my mind, had transitioned from Ferris Bueller to anything he's done in the last 20 years.
The Producers and Music Man and...
Music Man was okay, but there are better iterations of Music Man.
I didn't hate Godzilla.
I hated Godzilla. The new one's way better. So it came at a time in my life when I liked both of these guys, and I started to watch it, and I haven't actually had the friend who is like the Cable Guy, the obsessive, you must be in my life, I need a friend, I'm going to be everywhere. But I've seen aspects of that in certain friends I'd known, especially at the time. And the humor just hit me. Like that subtle, almost not even there humor, there's no can I get a fork and knife? There was no silverware, there were no utensils in medieval times, hence there are no utensils at medieval times. Would you like a refill on that Pepsi? I died for that joke. Oh man. Just something about this movie. I can't even describe it. Just Ben Stiller's writing and directing, especially back then, this was in the, pre-Zoolander era, and I watched it and I loved it. So the first thing that probably helped is I heard no negative criticism of this movie, which, sad to say, does affect me. If a bunch of people don't like a movie, especially back then, it affected me. Whether I liked a movie or not, I was like, I guess it's not great. But I just straight up loved this movie. I loved all the tropes. I loved how over the top Jim Carrey was and how they treated it like a horror, which just turned it into a dark comedy for me. I was laughing the whole way. It was fantastic. But I the whole storyline of how he turns Matthew Broderick's friends and family against him because he doesn't want another friend. I don't know. It just struck a chord with me. I love the writing. I love the timing. Oh, it was just funny.
Okay, so your guilty part of it is there are people that don't like it?
Yeah, like this almost tanked Jim Carrey's career and Ben Stiller's career. Like it was almost over at this point because this movie tanked so hard. I think a lot of people were turned off by how creepy Jim Carrey was, and I know the nostalgia critic Doug Walker. He did like his top 11 movies that other people hate that he loves, and that he hates that other people love. One of the movies that he loved that everyone hates was The Cable Guy, and I was like, "Yay, I love that movie too." So what do you think of The Cable Guy?
First of all, I forgot Ben Stiller was in it. I thought there would be something to do with that plot line. Like it would tie back.
Just a subplot.
Like Ben Stiller would be like one of the old people that he stalked, and the Jim Carrey actually like framed him for shooting his brother.
Oh man.
So I figured like for sure that he would say it, and Matthew Broderick would be like, "Get me off and admit to this, and also get off Ben Stiller, dude." I totally expected him to do a Gone Girl thing where he's like, "Wait, you used to be friends with him," where like he goes and he interviews like, "What was your experience with this crazy person?" But that didn't happen. So it was just a loose thread.
But I loved it.
And the first thing that was the thing I forgot. I'm surprised about. But the first thing is this movie is so freaking weird. It's just a weird movie. Jim Carrey is so creepy, but also like it's really creepy how everyone just kind of goes along with him. Like he's so somehow like forward enough that it's charming. Like
he's
could I go
when he needs to be, and then he's creepy when he doesn't.
Right? Could I just go to your parents' house with like a game and machismo charm the hell out of them to where they slightly turn against you? Like, is that?
Could you?
I'm wondering now. Like,
I'm pretty positive that if I were crazy, that I could pull this off.
Oh man, it's just so nuts. And like, did Ben Stiller write this?
I'm not sure if he wrote it. I'm IMDbing it now, but I know he directed it.
It was definitely feels like it was written by Jewish. Like the parents,
I know, it's his type of
Jewish movie parents. But it is so weird. I can understand why people hate it or pan it. It's because it's not quite it's not quite like Fight Club levels of funny. Like it feels like Fight Club is like an evolution of this, where they kind of like understand to get creepy and to get the tone down and to get the funny parts down. But also in a lot of ways, that's why Fight Club fails in its own message.
How so?
Well, yeah, because Fight Club, by the time you get to the end, you're like, yeah, it's cool. Let's bomb the government, anarchy. When its message is supposed to be the opposite of that. That a family and working a job is okay. The message is supposed to be
at all. They are bad.
Yeah, no one did, and that's why Fight Club kind of fails at what it's trying to do.
Yeah, no, I got the whole, we're the middle children of history. Let's correct crap.
Yeah, like the movies try. If you ask the director or whatever, that's what they'll tell you the message of the movie is. But the movie doesn't tell you this. The movie's like, this is awesome, and the movie makes it all look really awesome, and it's all pretty awesome. So they definitely missed.
At first, I thought it was just a story about a dude who was seeing things, but
Right. I was also surprised to see Jack Black in this. I'm like, man.
And it's such a bit role too. Like he had no part in this. He was plot. Oh, by the way,
is this like before or after High Fidelity? Like,
this had to be before.
Oh man,
when did High Fidelity come out?
Oh, bro, I do not know. I looked up dates for some Revenge of the Nerds trivia, but I did not, which I'm going to surprise you next time with. I'll try to surprise you with.
Yeah, like Cable Guy's 96, so.
Okay. High Fidelity must have been a little bit later than.
It must have been. I thought
it's such like a normal role, and he's not like Jack Blackie at all.
He's kind of, honestly, I found Jack Black creepier in this movie at points than I did Jim Carrey.
Well, at first he does kind of wear on you, but then eventually, like, Jim Carrey just like is obsessive. Like, I was watching it, I was feeling for Jim Carrey, but I'm still like, you can be rational about this and not be nuts. Like you could easily just be like at any like so many people are eating in your hand. At any time you can just not turn it up to 24. I was gonna say 11, but let's be honest.
Let's be honest here.
24.
That was a pretty good reference. I'll give you that one.
Oh man.
So what did you think of it overall? Like I'm hearing a lot of bits and pieces, but
like it's definitely an experience. Like I wish I could have streamed it and I didn't have to buy it because
you don't want to buy it, or you don't.
I don't. Now that I've seen it, I don't want it anymore. But like, it was the only way I could get it. I think I found it like $2 cheaper, like that afternoon or that night that I bought it. I'm like, nah. But yeah, it's been. God, when do we set this up before Christmas?
I think so.
Oh man,
it's been a while. I had long hair back then.
We're almost to the end of the dark months. January and February are the worst months. They shouldn't even count. Like, don't expect anyone to do anything those months.
It's not as bad down here.
Oh yeah, I can imagine that. All our snow's gone away except for like piles, and it's been low. It's been 40s to 50s to 30s. So it hasn't been too bad, but still.
So are you glad you saw it, or would you rather not have seen it? Obviously, you don't care to own it.
I'm glad I saw it. It's definitely like an experience kind of movie.
You just don't care to own it.
No, but I do own it now. So
at least you got it dirt cheap. You didn't buy it for like $20 or whatever.
No, I bought it for $5.
I'd say that's a fair price.
Yeah. Like it's. You know what it kind of reminds me of, just like not like quality wise, but like but like not message, but like overall feeling wise, like it feels like Rock the Casbah. If I could reference that. I know, because you're very obsessed with its 2 out of 10.
I'm sorry, it's 3%, you mean?
Oh, is it 3? Holy cow!
I think it's 3% on Rotten Tomatoes. I'll double check.
I would definitely put Rock the Casbah on the same shelf as The Cable Guy, because it has the same kind of like, not flaws, but like quirks, where it doesn't fit completely into one category, and it's kind of like its own special kind of like drama, and it's definitely like an experience that kind of drags you along and like makes you tense at times, and then makes you laugh sometimes. And Rock the Casbah did have some great acting in it, and lots of Bill Murray, and this has lots of Jim Carrey, which I still love seeing Jim Carrey in his pants.
It looks like the rating has changed. There's not many reviews of this, but it looks like now all the critic reviews are good, but the audience score is 44.
Oh, okay. That does seem much better than 3. I'll get in there right 100%. 100%. Must watch at least once.
Okay,
Experience.
so the Metascore,
like the cable guy. That's what
the Metascore is 29 out of 100. So,
like the cable guy. That's what I'm saying.
I think the cable guy is slightly higher, but only because of the cult classic status, and probably specifically because of Jim Carrey.
Really, I feel like Rock the Casbah is a little higher just because like I remember the 90s and I remember having to get cable. Though it does seem really weird like having a person come in your house. Though it is still weird having a person install internet in your house. But there is definitely a level of home invasion there. But no, because Rock the Casbah is like in Afghanistan, and we don't see much of Afghanistan like in the terminal. Well, it's still kind of terminal. Not terminal. What's that word that means shaky?
Turbulent.
Turbulent time. Good, Trey. This is why you're here.
Yes.
He's smiling big. There we go. But like it's still probably kind of turbulent there, but it was like it's really turbulent and iffy, but like people still go out and go shopping. I do still recommend it. I definitely put it on the level of the cable guy of something you should see. I think people should watch this movie.
Sometime I will probably see it. Okay.
Now Harmontown.
Harmontown. This is the one with Dan Harmon, the creator of Community, right?
Yeah, it's the documentary following him in the year when he was fired from Community. And did you watch this one, right?
Mm-mm.
What? Oh, okay. Let's do one that you watched then. What movie did you watch?
It's been since December. I know I've watched at least one.
Because there was.
I'm downloading Harmontown to watch tomorrow.
There was. This is the wrong video description.
Now that we've actually gotten into it and you realize I've been super busy.
It's been 2 months. I thought we were good to go.
I totally forgot the entire list of movies we were doing.
That's okay. I still love you. I still love you the most.
I'm still totally willing to talk to you while you talk about them.
I want to see the description. So I have them all listed. Secondhand Lions and Revenge of the Nerds.
Do you want to talk about the movies and then I'll watch them and we'll come back another time or something?
Oh no, we should definitely both talk. Do you see Deadpool?
Not yet. It's on my list, but I don't want to pay money to see it because I got super burned out on Deadpool in college because I had a friend who was into Deadpool, which unfortunately means that I now have to hate Deadpool.
Okay.
Have you ever met an actual like Deadpool fanboy?
No,
it
thank
kills
God.
It absolutely kills it.
I believe that. The movie was actually really funny, I thought, but
that's what I've heard universally. I've heard it's really funny and really entertaining, and I know I'm going to see it someday, but I'm not going to see it in theater.
The Deadpool in the movie is a lot more perverted and like thinking about sex than the Deadpool in the comic book.
Exactly, and that's the Deadpool in the comic book is the one that I super fell out of love with because the Chimichangas goofball one.
Yeah, this one's still pretty goofy, but thinks a lot with his dick.
Gotcha.
There's one hilarious part. Okay. Let's get into Star Wars then.
All right, that I can do.
Oh, I loved it.
I really, really liked it, and it got better on the second viewing, but I think there's a lot of fridge logic if you follow me. Like a lot of you get to the fridge after viewing the movie and you're like, wait a minute.
Well, for me, it just had to be not as bad as any of Abrams' other movies, which it wasn't. This is the best J.J. Abrams movie.
I
don't believe in best, but this one was the best J.J. Abrams movie.
I might agree with that, but I still really like Star Trek, the first one. I did not love Into Darkness, and I still really love Mission Impossible 3. It's my favorite Mission Impossible.
See, I liked Super 8 that he made.
Never saw it.
Super 8 was good. It had the guy from Early Edition, which I think is a special Ray thing. Like, It's one of my 90s things that I remember.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like, if they make an Early Edition movie, I'm watching it. Even though I hope they kind of don't. Also, I was watching and hoping it would be like, at one point, I think he's a soldier, but he punches out someone.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm watching, I'm like, if only he said tomorrow's news today and then punched him. But no, J.J. Abrams is a filmmaker that's really good at like aping other people's styles. Like I don't think he has his own style, but he's really good at copying and like doing what he's told. So all he had to do,
and taking that and making it accessible to everyone.
Right? All he had to do is just follow the instructions that everyone said. They're like, make it not suck. Don't put in a bunch of extra bullshit in it.
Use practical effects.
Hearken a lot to things that the original couldn't do. Like, actually, I don't know if this is true, but I just took it as true for some reason. But like Luke Skywalker in his original form was supposed to be a girl. I've heard this, but after I heard it and accepted it, I walked around and I'm like, no one showed me any proof for that.
I don't know where you'd get that. Luke was always a boy in the original draft, too. Actually, he was an old man at one point.
Right? That's what I thought, too. Like, somebody introduced, like, the original, someone was supposed to be a cat, and Luke was supposed to be a girl.
Han Solo was supposed to be very cat-like.
Yeah. Like, that they paired it up with those facts that I've heard, and people can second double-check. But, like...
There's a lot of clickbait based around the new Star Wars movies because a lot of people know that they can get site hits if they include Star Wars rumors on it.
Right.
Like, regardless how true or fake they are. I remember there was this post, and like I go to Google News all the time, and Google News lets you say, hey, are you interested in X, Y, and Z? Yes, no, yes type thing. And one of the things, of course, I've said I'm interested in is Star Wars, and I've said I'm interested in Star Wars and Darth Vader and Stormtroopers and Mark Hamill because, you know, Luke Skywalker, Joker.
So what you do, you got to do like put in awesome kickflips and.
If it asks me, I will. So I remember it said like on one post, like Mark Hamill confirms that Luke Skywalker is gay and or bisexual and or gender fluid. And I'm like, what? And I clicked on it. And what really happened was on Twitter, which Mark Hamill responds to pretty much anything you can send him on Twitter, which is pretty cool.
Oh, man.
And a character asked him, hey, is Luke bisexual or something like that? And he's like, and his response was basically, well, it was never actually explored in the movies, so he's whatever you want him to be. And it posted that, and I'm like, and the title was Luke Skywalker gay confirmed by Mark Hamill, basically.
Oh man, I like that Mark Hamill is a death of the author kind of guy. Like, it wasn't in the movie; it's whatever you want. The author's dead. We wish. I love the. I don't know if it's confirmed, but I love that I heard that like, Disney's gonna re-release the original theatrical cut, but like beefed up for HD, like without all the extra Lucas special effect things. Like, I love that. Another thing I love that the main character's name is Ray, because now I can just that's gonna be my new ringtone. Han Solo and everyone important saying my name in Star Wars.
That's awesome.
It was a present to me. I'm like, Ray? I'm Ray.
That's me. Yeah, you don't hear him naming him Trey.
Also, for gender politics and racial politics, the movie did fantastic, and it stars the two most seen characters are a woman and a black guy, which is great. Which we know from the leaked Sony emails. This is a thing that execs think will not sell to people.
I didn't mind because I just really enjoyed these characters. I enjoyed the dialogue. I enjoyed the. I've never been one much for gender politics. Just never really noticed them.
Well, that's exactly it, because you're a normal person. Like, you just want to see a good movie. Like, you don't care if it's a woman or a man or a different race of a man. But movie execs, they see people in statistics. They're like, well, really, we only really sell movies. Movies only really do well when there's a white guy in the front as the main character. So we're going to keep going with that. But it's not necessary.
But either way, Finn was a fantastic character. Ray was a fantastic character. I saw a lot of potential in Poe Dameron, and he's my favorite character. I do agree that he didn't have enough character development, and I was really hoping. I have 3 main caveats with the film, maybe 4 if I can remember them. My first one is there was not enough Poe Dameron. I was hoping Poe Dameron was going to be the new Han Solo, in that the story centers around this space warrior who, before they came out...
You're wrestling a dog right now, right?
What?
Are you wrestling a dog right now?
Yes, she's being stupid.
Okay.
Give me a second! Good grief.
Like, I did...
No, I'm done. Stop it, Lily. If you can see her.
Oh, I can see a blur.
That's Lily. And this here's Maddie.
Oh, that I can see.
So, okay, so...
Not enough Poe.
Not enough Poe. Poe Dameron is my favorite character, and I was hoping he was going to be the new Han Solo, in that you have Rey, who is, and before the movie came out, I thought Finn was going to be the Jedi because, the trailer showed him holding the lightsaber as he was fighting Kylo Ren. So I thought Finn was going to be the new Jedi, Rey was going to be the new space princess, but who can also fight for herself and stuff, and Poe was going to be the Han Solo character, the brash pilot who flies them around and gets them where they need to go, but also joins them on adventures. Right. And he wasn't. He was...
Well, I think I really liked that, though. Every time Poe was in the movie, it was fantastic, though. And do you know if he's going to be a lot in Rogue One or whatever?
I don't think he's going to be in Rogue One because Rogue One happens before he's born.
Oh, does it? I thought the comics happened. I thought this is why I had comics. There was a comic that came out that was Star Wars, and it followed 2 random people, and no one knew why until the last issue came out. They're like, "Oh, it's Poe Dameron's parents."
Which his last name is Dameron. I don't know how people missed this, but Shattered Empire was a fantastic comic. I will not deny. But what?
The new one that came out in the year before the movie.
Yeah, Shattered Empire.
Okay, I didn't know that was.
Yeah, the arc was called Shattered Empire.
I'm bad at comics.
That's all good.
I'm bad at nerdy.
Yeah, that's the one where his mom is an A-wing pilot, his dad is a rebel commando, and it mostly follows his mom following the 3 main characters around right after episode 6.
Okay. And, can I head you off at one of your points and guess? Are you going to talk about the loose ends around the Republic and Princess Leia?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Those, I mean, the first...
Well, go on with your second points.
First... There's not enough Poe Dameron in this movie. He's my new favorite character, and I wanted to see more of him. He's snarky. He's smart. He's snarky. He's cynical. He's amusing. He's fantastic, and he's a pilot. Favorite character. There was not enough of him. Caveat number 2, and I got to remember these. Caveat number 2 is a minor one. I really liked the spaceships in the first one. So why were there only X-Wings? Even in episode 4, we had X-Wings and Y-Wings. And just seeing X-Wings made me a tad sad.
Isn't Leia's ship like a modified Y-Wing?
No, she's in a transport.
Yeah, but isn't it like... Didn't used to be... I think I saw a diagram showing an old Y-Wing and how the Rebels now are really rickety, and it showed how all of their stuff is pretty much stuff that they took that was left over from the last 20 years.
Well, I know the X-Wings are a new model of X-Wing. They're the T-60s instead of the T-16s. Get off me, puppies. So not enough Finn, or not enough Poe, no X-Wings, or only X-Wings, and I wanted other ships. Other caveats... I'm trying to remember. The music was not on par with the other Star Wars films. I still hold that without John Williams' fantastic all-time best movie score, whatever, that Star Wars, when it first came out, would have stopped at Episode 4. That it would have just been another 70s sci-fi cult classic, and that no one would have remembered it. It would still be a fine film, but it would have gone the way of The Last Starfighter and other like Lady Hawk. Lady Hawk's a fine movie, but you didn't know what to expect from it because nobody heard about it after the 80s. Nobody. So that was John Williams' music. Not enough Poe Dameron.
Not enough ships, not enough Poe, and the music didn't quite scratch your ear itch.
Exactly. And part of that was because it was not played with. It was the first Star Wars movie to not include the London Philharmonic.
Okay.
And that's all I can remember right now. I know I have one or two others, which I might bring up if I remember them while you're talking.
Yeah, I didn't I'm not really a music Philharmonic kind of guy, so that didn't strike me as odd at all. Were there less side swipe transitions in this one?
I would assume so, which I'd be okay with because George Lucas loves side swipes more than he loves crappy dialogue.
Right? I figured there'd be a couple of those, but I don't think I noticed any.
I didn't notice any.
Because I definitely
I don't remember any. I mean, but it came out.
Before I was even aware of transitions, I recognized that in Star Wars and then recognized it in like the prequels.
Yep.
But I don't think I noticed any in this one. Mostly straight cuts. But then there was a whole storyline cut out with Princess Leia, because they're gonna do the whole bit where she's in the Republic because she's a senator, was a senator or whatever. But then nothing's able to get done in the Senate because people are just ignoring the problem of the, what are they called? The new squeeze? The new
what?
What's the Empire Remnant called?
The First Order.
The First Order. So a lot of the people in the Republic are downplaying the First Order, it's nothing. It's just boys being boys. And Leia's like, no, this is a problem. This feels terrible. And so she goes out and she raises her own little rebellion herself.
Mm-hmm.
Through
that's what I heard. I heard the New Republic has no standing army and no capital ships, and the Resistance is literally what Leia could scrape together.
Well, no, I thought they did, but she just couldn't command it because they weren't convinced of the threat. So she scrapped together all the stuff herself from her old contacts.
Well, that's
so all of the stuff, all of the gear they have is actually old gear left over from when they stopped fighting little bits of the Empire. So the new X-Wing is still an old X-Wing.
Rebuttal. So first off, it is a new X-Wing. We do have several.
No. I'm telling you, this isn't a theory. This is the cut storyline.
Oh, the cut story. I gotcha.
So that's why the transport ship is I think it's at least part a Y-Wing, and they had to fix. They pretty much hobbled together a couple ships that they had left over.
Well, even so, the Rebellion had access to A-Wings and B-Wings and Corellian Corvettes, and we don't see any of those.
No, I don't. They might not have access to it, and there's not a lot of it was scrapped partway through, but bits of it still remain. So when the Republic gets destroyed and the camera kind of pans in on that girl who's surrounded by whatever, that the fat thing was Leia's friend, and the girl was actually a messenger from Leia. It's her right hand. It was her right hand woman that did stuff for her, and she finally sent them through with proof that the Order is up to this terrible stuff. But then the New Order takes out the Republic altogether.
Right. Or at least the senators on that totally not Coruscant planet.
Well, they take out the whole solar system,
mm-hmm.
which I feel is a little much for people that were mostly ignoring you. It felt the New Order does feel it's kind of run by children, which I feel
it really does. And what's that?
I feel that's done intentionally, but
I think so because that's the whole thing. Speaking of which, what did you think about Kylo Ren?
I liked him. And technically, heritage-wise, that makes him the new princess.
So, a lot of people didn't love Kylo Ren. They saw him as childish, which I liked Kylo Ren, and honestly, I thought he was one of the best developed characters if you're able to read between the lines like I did.
Well, I totally didn't completely make this observation myself, but they definitely took like the meta text of the movie, like, will this live up to Star Wars? Will this guy live up to Darth Vader? And made it like the text of the thing, like, I'm trying to live up to Darth Vader.
I'm so sad. Bzz, bzz, bzz.
Right?
But specifically what I was thinking of, like, when he is interrogating Rey and he is force interrogating her, and he said this line that I can't remember verbatim, but he said, like, you got the droid to talk to you. And that told me worlds about his personality. Because obviously this guy is the son of two heroes of the rebellion, two of the people primarily responsible for bringing down the Empire. And he's force sensitive, and his uncle is the guy in charge of rebuilding the Jedi Order, right? So he's used to having everything he wants, and then he doesn't get something he wants, i.e. the information from the droid. And this commoner peasant did, and that told me worlds. You know, if he can't get it himself, if he's not allowed to have it by being the prince of the galaxy, then he'll take it by force because he's a stinking Jedi. Well, Sith, but you know what I mean.
Right.
And so, and that spoke worlds to me, and I really liked his character.
Oh man, stopping the bolt in the air, the very first thing. I was like, I'm like, what the? All bets are off. Like, I don't know what's going on. Why doesn't Poe just shoot more?
Well, because he was also frozen.
Oh, okay.
Like, if you watch it again, like, he was frozen.
It goes through. There's like a wave, and it's like grabs the thing, grabs the Poe.
Grabs the Poe.
Oh, it should be really grabs the Poe's finger. Like, no, but it just you can stop a bolt. You can stop a bolt. Oh, and the other thing that someone actually pointed out to me is when Poe and Finn are escaping and the big ship shoots after them. Mm-hmm. Do you notice it shoots a big, like, lightning-y blue laser?
Yeah.
That means it's being powered with lightsaber crystals.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does.
It's an ion cannon.
No.
Give me a second. The dog might be tearing up something.
You have to go for a second? It's a theory I heard. It's not my own thought. But I thought it was cool. That was fast, right?
She likes to get destructive when I get negligent.
Just like me.
Can't leave either. You're behind. What were we just talking about?
Oh, we're talking about the blaster, but that was kind of offshoot.
It's not powered by kyber crystals. The last thing that was powered by kyber crystals that was a weapon was the Death Star.
The Death Star was?
Yeah, the Death Star laser was a giant kyber crystal. Or giant kyber crystal. That's why Emperor Palpatine was like the only one who knew how to build it, because he knows lightsabers. Right.
And also these guys seem to be like with Twirly Baton Dude, like the New Order seems to be more yeah, they seem to be more like in tune with like battling with Jedi or Force users, or at least have like a contingent.
But one thing I really liked, like a lot of people, like a lot of younger kids especially, were a little underwhelmed by the lightsaber fight because they wanted another Darth Maul jumpy around.
It's okay. No one cares about those kids. They're Deadpool. No one cares.
But like a lot of people were underwhelmed by that. But I like
it was great. It's exactly what I wanted.
The lightsaber fight?
Yeah.
Right? Isn't it just like perfect? Where it's just like an English broadswordsman like swinging around, and it's perfect.
It was great. It was what and we made fun of the stupid cross lightsaber. I made fun of it at first, but he used it perfectly, because there are a lot of times where you hold the lightsaber and you like
you get
googly eyes for a second. And
also,
I'm like, that is perfect.
Also, I don't know if this is going to be changed in the later movie, but I do know that there is at least a rumor. So we know that his lightsaber does that because his crystal, his lightsaber crystal, is damaged, and it has to vent out the sides. So it's actually not extra blades. That's like venting energy that just tapers off really quick. And
he does spend a lot of time venting his anger.
So obviously the lightsaber is a reflection of him. He is broken and barely contained into a being, just like his blade is always crackling and fizzing and on the edge of just like exploding out into everything, and he has to vent his anger a lot. But also there's a rumor that it is the damaged crystal of Darth Revan's lightsaber from the Knights of the Old Republic series.
Oh, that's a deep cut.
Again, I don't know if they're even going to explain that, or they might say it's, Darth Vader's damaged lightsaber crystal, because that would also make sense. But
like, if it was from the Old Republic, that's like 1,000 years old or something.
Right.
So old.
I think it's like 2,000 years before the Clone Wars.
Was there another connection they made to the Old Republic? I feel like
I'm sure there might have been, but I don't know it specifically.
I don't remember that reference now. What do you think of a Chrome Stormtrooper that had like no time? And
Captain Phasma? Yeah, right. Well,
Chrome Stormtrooper.
I'm okay with a Chrome Stormtrooper.
Well, you said Phasma. I'm like, no, it's Chromey.
So everybody thought that Captain Phasma was going to be the new Boba Fett, the character who said nothing and did nothing but was going to be super popular. But then it turned out to be the guy with the stun baton who fought Finn with the lightsaber.
Oh, man.
Who was meant to TR-8R for his one line, traitor!
That's great. Yeah. Oh. I've definitely heard too much because we're going to cut. I want to stick to the movie and not do extra things that I heard, like rumors. I didn't think it would.
People have talked about the movie. Talk about what you want. This is Ray and Trey. We do what we want.
I know, but I don't think it was necessary to blow up the Starkiller base at the end.
No?
No, like, one thing is that was a beautiful planet.
It used to be beautiful, but the entire inside was a super weapon that was an ICBM, basically.
Yeah, but when it comes to planets, I'm shallow. The outside is pretty. Like I felt like that was almost like not necessary. Like they just did that to like echo the other one. But I can see that there was a reason, considering the sun inside of it.
The Starkiller base can take a sun, which is bad enough for the solar system and the galaxy at large, and it can take that energy and make an entire other solar system across the galaxy, hyperlanes away, blow up. That needs to be stopped somehow, completely, for good.
Well, they're gonna have another one.
They're gonna have something else. I'm hoping they get away from this. There were a lot of echoes to episode 4 and a little of episode 5, which is why I'm hoping they will get away from that and do their own thing.
Right? Like, yeah, because I agree in several ways. This one was like a lot of like callbacks to almost the entire series, and not just the New Hope. So hopefully, like, the next director and writer like really get going. Like J.J. Abrams, like, oh, I kind of regret not signing on for the second movie. I'm like, no, I don't.
No,
you did your job.
Yep.
Go copy someone else's style.
Well, and it was like, to echo another movie critic online, the Nostalgia Critic was talking about how like they had to prove that they wouldn't mess it up like the prequels. They had to prove that they could make a good movie for everyone, fanboys included. Because actually, there's a lot of people. I'm the Star Wars guy at work. Surprise! But a lot of people were talking, and they're like, "So why does everybody hate the prequels?" Or they didn't even realize that people hated
them. They're babes.
Well, like, these are just casual moviegoers that may have seen it on DVD with other people, and they don't realize there's a whole sub-community that has picked this movie to death, like vultures, like so many vultures.
Not even the sub-community. That movie kind of kicked off criticism on the internet.
It really did. But a lot of people don't know that because they're not looking for criticism on the internet. They don't care. They just want to see a movie. And I was talking to this one lady at work, and she was like, "Oh yeah, this new one's gonna have like special effects, like the prequels and stuff. So it's gonna be good, right?" And I just had to internally facepalm.
Yeah, you should totally see it.
Hey, keep talking. I got a phone call. I gotta answer. I'm sorry.
Well, okay. Well, then, man, I was gonna make you talk so I could make pee. So, rumors. I heard a rumor that that there was supposed to be a whole training section for Poe. Like I don't know if they're gonna make it a comic book or they were gonna make it part of the movie. But they were gonna make a whole section where Poe and his unit, not Poe, Padre, that Finn and his unit get trained. So you'd get the background, like there would be Finn who would always be kind of like an outcast, but then he would have his friend, and then there would be like the dicks in the group. And it's actually Finn's old unit that he fights. Like, so the first, the stormtrooper that gets him bloody and puts like blood on his mask, that's his best friend that he gets along with, and just about the only person that really opened up to him and made him feel like a brother, because they're all raised from birth together as like a squad. But then the guy who calls him traitor has been the hardest in the group, and like someone, I don't know how we get these things, if they're like leaked or if it's just rumor for something that that will be included in the comic, but they're supposed to be the whole storyline, and then it's supposed to give a little more dramatic tension, but I think it's fine without it.
What are you talking about now?
There was supposed to, it's rumored that was supposed to be a backstory with Finn and his unit.
I know they're having an ongoing Poe Dameron comic.
Poe
I'm excited about that.
Yeah. I loved the key three and everything they did. Like Poe, when he rips in with an X-wing, he takes out like 10 guys in like seconds.
I mean, he is the best pilot in the Resistance.
You know, like he's shooting guns, he's shooting guys on the ground. He's getting, that's like, there is a droid somewhere in these calculations. Either that or he's like, oh god, what video game even do I have to watch 4 things at once while I do stuff? It's like if you combined Guitar Hero with a racing game and then had a completely separate rhythm game going at the same time.
Or, you can just play X-Wing. So
yeah, I don't think you could target as many people as Poe Dameron did.
Well, he just was able to line them up really well because the First Order apparently doesn't have great pilots.
Maybe.
I mean, pretty decent ground troopers, but
yeah, I wonder if that's going to be a failure, and then they're just going to go stormtroopers instead of kidnapped children troopers for the next one.
I think they're going to stick with the kidnapped children troopers.
Oh, the next one.
I'm excited for the next one. A lot of the fanboys. What's that?
I don't know if I'll even be alive in 2 years. It's so far away.
Alive in 2 years? You have to be alive in 2 years.
I have to be alive in 2 years to watch Star Wars.
And Infinity Gauntlet.
And
Infinity War, rather. The final Avengers movies.
I've been watching Peggy Carter. I love Peggy Carter.
I haven't seen it yet. I want to, but
it's really good. Though they're forcing a love story and a love triangle at one point in the season, and it's gross. I'm like, no, Peggy Carter, Captain America, or some no one that you'd be completely surprised by.
He obviously grows up and gets married and has kids, though. She has to marry somebody who's not Steve Rogers.
But first, she has to make S.H.I.E.L.D. She has to stop being part of the SRR or SSR, and for some reason being at the beck and call of the FBI, and say, no, S.H.I.E.L.D., it's above y'all. It's international. I'm from Britain. Why am I even reporting to the FBI? It doesn't make sense.
So, anything else we wanted to talk about?
Do you have a couple more minutes?
I do have a couple more minutes.
Okay, I would love to gush about friggin' Sword Art Online because everyone seems to hate it.
What?
Right?
I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying it's high art, but it's pretty stinking good.
Right? It might be like one of my favorite like relationships I've seen in anime between two characters.
Oh yeah, with Kirito and what's her name?
Asuna.
It is Asuna?
Yeah.
That sounded wrong.
Nope, that's her name.
Cool. I really like how their relationship develops, but honestly, is the time it took for me to, from the time I finished Sword Art Online 1 and then watched Sword Art Online 2, I remembered it vaguely, but I did forget a lot of the initial emotions I had about their relationship until I was like, oh, right, they did that thing. Because I do like how Sword Art Online 2 is like, yeah, there's no drama here. They're together. Deal with it.
Right.
The only drama is Kirito is a bit of a Mary Sue when it comes to the ladies. Just every lady likes him, even his adopted sister.
Right? That is annoying how that happens. Like, I almost see how it comes. Like, and the show does kind of feel like there's a false setup, especially when it goes right to, like, time jumping around.
Yes.
And, like, I thought it was just going to be, like, a big misery anime, which I was kind of into. Like, when you get to the level with, like, where he joins the little guild and, like, they all die, I thought, like, but the next time you meet someone new, I'm like, oh, man, time for them to die. And it didn't happen. And it just, like, stopped. And, like, the stakes just, like, went away. But it's, you know, they went through their arc with huge, stupid stakes. I don't think it really needs stakes to continue. Apparently no one else does either because it keeps getting greenlit for more.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like, because it starts out like there's gonna be the death game, and you're like, oh no, and then you like start to like all these characters. You're like, I don't want all these characters because Klein is cool, okay, and
I like Klein.
Also, like, I don't want these people to randomly die. They need to introduce more people to randomly die or whatever. But then they get out, and you're like, oh, what's the show now? Because there's not going to be any more misery. But then, have you seen after the Excalibur thing?
Yes, that was sad. I cried.
To where Asuna gets her little terminal guild. Oh man, they brought it back. I'm like, oh, I'm back. Perfect.
Which is weird. I thought I would not care after the first half of the GGO arc. Like, you have more high stakes stuff, right? Somebody's murdering people from within the game, and they have to figure that out. They have to figure out how, they have to figure out why, and they have to stop them. So and so it's still high stakes stuff, but
right, it's kind of like vaguely high stakes, and then it is a little bit dumb how it happens, but it's still it
still made sense though. It still made logical sense.
And I still like the characters.
Mm-hmm.
Where the redemption really comes in with me is like, well, it needs to start focusing on a show with like PTSD. Like, I thought that was going to be what Gun Gale was going to be about, like either Kirito or her. Well, it kind of was more of the sniper girl. I forgot her name. It was more of her working through her PTSD. Or I think it would really been interesting if Kirito did it too. But instead it's like, nope, I'm just going to jump into this game and I'm not going to have a lot of horrible flashbacks.
Speaking of which, that was the biggest problem I had with the series, was specifically after the death game. So many people died. So many people got stuck in the nerve gear system. So many people died. It was like a national catastrophe. Like, if everybody who ever played World of Warcraft, if like half of them died and couldn't get out and just died of malnutrition. And yet they're going back into these games. Now, obviously, Kirito and Asuna have their daughter in there, and that makes sense. But what about everybody else? They got stuck last time this happened. Why are you going back?
And I think there's a way that they could present it, like, once someone has been in this world for so long, it no longer feels like a trap and more just feels like another version of life.
which I think they were trying to hint at, and that's very Japanese of them, especially when Japanese has an entire subculture of young men and women who live their life in video games, and their families have to take care of them. They don't work, they don't eat unless their family feeds them.
Well, and there's also a culture that like have a job, but they have enough of a job where they can still like they can just go home and play video games most of the time.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, when you have an entire subculture that is codependent on people so that they can play video games more, I think it's more culturally understandable. But I don't know, because I'm not Japanese and I can't be sure of that. But I'm guessing.
I actually, because like I feel like even though as long as they stay away from something that like retcons what they've already established, like I almost feel like they can do like an Arrow kind of thing. Because have you seen the show Green Arrow?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, like how they always do. Every episode they go through the story, but then
they flash
story,
back.
but then there's a flashback story.
Yeah.
I think they could totally do that with like Sword Art Online, and they could like have parallel stories going on a little bit. That way, you still have a little bit of the stakes, and you still get like the current whatever stakes come up.
Yeah.
But I think the series, the light novel series, is just about complete. So I don't think they're gonna take my suggestion.
This is. Are they doing a third Sword Art Online?
Well, I don't know if they're gonna do an anime, but the novels go on.
Okay.
The novels go on into some offshoot books. I think they're all completed in Japanese.
Okay.
But there's at least one more where I think the cover is the main bad guy from the first Sword Art Online, so I'm thinking he comes back as some sort of AI.
Like
and
the guy
then there's
who created the game, right?
What?
The guy who created the game?
Yeah, the guy who created the game, because he also came back as the ghost of the second one, which when we were talking about Star Wars reminded me they kind of almost do a thing where like with the second bad guy who kidnaps Asuna and keeps her in a cage, they kind of did a thing where they keep hinting back to the previous boss. They're like, oh, this guy was cooler, or this guy did a thing like for the art of it, just to have a world he controls.
Yeah.
And this other one has the cheap copy of that.
Yeah.
And that's like the theme that they went with it. And almost worked out. Star Wars did it better.
Yes.
And much less rapey. I could do without.
That was the part I got uncomfortable with.
Right? I could do without all of the rapey stuff.
Specifically where she's like chained up there topless and he starts like molesting her. We get it. She's your prisoner. You don't have to rub this in. We hate him already. You
don't have to suck away all of her agency in the storyline to like. And there's a couple of high points where she like tries to escape, but then it goes right down to low rapey points again. And
well, at first it's just she's in a cage because obviously she's his prisoner, and that part was okay to me. It made sense. He was in control, and I know it's the rescue the girl, rescue the princess trope, but at least it worked. And then it was the chained up, topless, you're gonna watch me do stuff to your girlfriend here.
Yeah.
And that's the part I didn't like. I didn't need to see it. It didn't even need to be implied. How about he just has her captured and until she agrees to marry him?
Right, because he wants the company.
But I will say it did stick with us more because of it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And it wasn't portrayed as a good thing. So that has some merit to it, but
yeah, but there was like the part where it's still like the camera's focusing and really like no camera, no, this is bad. Don't focus in on this now. Do not take attractive angles with this action. Bad camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. Yeah.
So and it's been so long I barely remember it, and of course it's anime, and like even in Sword Art Online 2 you get a few camera angles that show off the fan service, but otherwise, it wasn't horrible.
Right. Well, I'm okay with those, just as long as terrible things aren't happening at the same time. Like, don't mix up my signals, show. Like, I want my arousal time and my danger to be separate boners.
Gross.
No, I've actually been reading They're kind of redoing it, but it's manga. It's a Sword Art Online progressive, and every book kind of goes through a floor of Ironcast, so they're starting over again.
Oh,
but like the first book is like them up until like they go to fight the boss, and the second book it's them fighting the boss, and then their adventures on the second floor, and I think they're just about to fight the third boss or whatever, but like it's just going through and it's exploring the weapon systems, and there's some little tiny stories just with the people and the characters that are happening, and you get to see other people die, and there's a whole kind of like that first guy that was the captain and was leading the first raid. Like as soon as he dies, like in the comic, there's people start making their own little like guilds or whatever in his honor, like as if he's like a fallen hero.
Yeah.
And it's like, we are the way of Sir Damrick, and the other guy's like, no, we are the heart of Sir Damrick, and they're rivaling each other in their stupidity because the guy was kind of a jerk.
Yeah.
So I like that a lot, and I look forward to that if it gets made to an anime. Otherwise, I'm reading it as it comes out, which I'm sad. I have to wait till like March for the next one for book 4.
That's horrible.
But it is what I originally wanted from Sword Art Online, which is dragging your face in the mud in the middle of this thing.
I will say that I think Sword Art Online 1 was slightly better than 2. It definitely stuck with me more. But 2 definitely had quite a few great moments.
Right? And I still get those characters that I really started to like through it. Even if some of them are kind of dumb. Like, there's some dumb stuff to it. But I like it overall, and I want more of it.
Yeah. Well, have you read or heard anything about Ready Player One?
The thing that you've been telling me about like the entire time?
Mm-hmm.
No, I haven't.
I haven't watched your movies, so I can't be mad.
I've been watching the movies with you.
So
you watched Lady Hawk, and
we did watch Lady Hawk.
And I made so many notes, but we haven't gone through all of this batch of movies yet.
Well, that's okay. This one we can keep to a short, light episode, and I will watch Harmontown and Garden State, and what else? Revenge of the Nerds.
Revenge of the Nerds. And then we'll also talk about the Secondhand Lines connection.
Yes. So, Ray, I have one last question, debate thing to finish this off for you. Back to Star Wars. Who is better, Stormtroopers or Clone Troopers?
Oh, Stormtroopers.
Thank you. We can be friends.
Like a million times.
There are so many people, mostly younger people, who think that clones are just infinitely better than Stormtroopers.
Oh, wow. Thank God I don't listen to any of them. Like, I've not... Like, my only experience or contact with younger people is, like, from, like, Sam Waldron's parties. It's, like, the Sam Waldron's parties.
Okay.
And they're all pretty cool.
Also, though, so you know Star Wars Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels?
Yes.
The guy who heads that is a man named Dave Filoni. And he is like a 45-year-old man who also agrees that clone troopers are better than stormtroopers. He believes they have better training. He believes they have better armor.
Stormtroopers are better than clone troopers? Or
what?
Like the young people?
Say that again?
Like, he thinks that clone troopers are better than stormtroopers?
And
say that right?
That they have better training, better weapons, and better armor.
Well, I think that they're clones, and therefore toilet paper people.
Yes.
That do not matter.
That are literally not allowed to think for themselves.
Right? There's no House of Cosby, female Cosby going on at all.
So I will say that the Clone Wars cartoon series, for all of its flaws and all of its childishness, I did enjoy some parts, especially the parts where they did make the clone troopers more human. And
Well, they have to, otherwise they have to.
Well, that was the biggest problem that I had with Attack of the Clones, is George Lucas creates this, okay, you have an army of droids versus an army of clones. This is literally throwing fake people at other fake people and seeing who has more fake people.
Right? Like I totally picture like Invasion of the like when I first heard in my childish imagination, when I first heard like Clone Wars, I figured they cloned Jedis and they would have Jedi fighting Jedi.
That was the big thing. They even had comics about that. They had like comic strains about cloned Jedi. Yeah.
And that way you would incorporate like body horror and like identity, and like I figured someone would be cloned like completely with their mind, but then like see themselves there. Like, what do I do now? Like, I'm not evil. I'm not going to follow an order to kill myself because there's me and my family. But what do I do now? What am I?
There were actually two theories about the Clone Wars, and both of them arose from the Timothy Zahn Thrawn trilogy. One was you cloned a bunch of Jedi and you have the identity mass crisis, because that happens to one of the Force-sensitive characters in the first Thrawn book, which is not Dark Force Rising. Ah, shoot, I forget the name of it. It's the Thrawn trilogy. I read it all as the Thrawn trilogy.
That's the really good one, right?
What's that? Yeah, that's what started off the EU, the expanded. And then also there was the other theory that the Clone Wars were literally like an army of, like, this bad guy got a hold of a bunch of cloning cylinders and just started pooping out dudes so he could take over the galaxy. So you have a bunch of real people fighting this not invincible, but this never-ending onslaught horde of pooped out fake people. And so you're losing real friends, but you can just throw more clones into that situation.
Right.
And so those were great scenarios, but no, it's a bunch of clones versus a bunch of droids, so that there's no moral ambiguity and there's so few people dying that who even cares.
And they're fighting in a bunch of deserts and empty spaces, and there's no like civilian casualties, there's no economic casualties, there's nothing really pumping in. Like, yeah, it's so...
Oh, they do go over civilian and economic casualties in a lot of the expanded universe and role-playing games, because that's what's needed.
Because that's what happens to an economy. Yeah.
Right. That's what happens in war. Anyway, so like I was driving home from work the other day and thinking about how Dave Filoni's like, a lot of people ask me what's better, clone troopers or stormtroopers, and I think clone troopers. And he wears a black cowboy hat at all times, by the way, which does not endear him to me.
Well, I guess people also need to qualify better to him, because I'm like, if you just... I hate nerds. I hate nerds. Just like when they balance up, like, oh, a samurai versus the knight, and it doesn't matter. It depends on whatever random circumstances happen, and it depends on the writer.
Yep.
Like, I hate when people take numbers and like, who would win, Goku or Superman, and then they have reasons. Like, no, it depends on who's writing it.
Although I still enjoy those locker room conversations. I still do enjoy those. I still like arguing who would win in a fight, Batman or Superman, Green Lantern or Darkseid. You know, I like those. But if clone troopers really are better than stormtroopers, why'd you stop making clone troopers? Oh, because there was a rebellion on Kamino and they went against them, so the clones weren't genetically pure Jango Fett clones. No, okay, so fine. Let's pretend you're still using clones and they're inferior clones, which you're not, by the way. But now, so why would you get rid of that awesome clone trooper armor if it's so much better than stormtrooper armor?
Right. Like, another problem I have with it is it's humanoids. It's humanoids fighting. Like, we're humans. We see this. There's supposed to be a bunch of these alien races all over. Like, I really feel like they could apologize for the reality of the original Star Wars and not having a million puppets available. Like, if the war is between alien races and it just starts spreading throughout the universe, and by the time humans get involved, they're like, we could just clone ourselves, and that way our casualties won't be as much. We can throw more into it. And and that could be how the Empire like gets in there with the Republic, and why the Empire is mostly all white male or whatever.
Well, part of the reason for that, though, is another one of the ways. So the Empire is basically puppy-kicking, baby-eating bad guys, right? George Lucas hates moral ambiguity. White and black, good guys versus bad guys. One of the ways they made the bad guys bigger bad guys was by making sure that they were xenophobic in every sense of the word.
Right.
Like, the Empire hates aliens, and they're super racist toward any non-humans. So, like, that's why Thrawn, who is a Chiss, actually, is an outlier, and why he's not allowed to play with the other big boys that are human generals and admirals, even though he is objectively better as a commander.
Which is a cool apology for reality, I think.
I still don't... I mean, even so, like, there's still a lot of humans in the galaxy, and it's cheaper to put humans in a movie than making up everyone.
But I do love it when we make up everyone. I always get sad. I always get sad in space movies when there's not a couple of aliens.
Mm-hmm.
Like Cowboy Bebop, I had that disappointment, and
Still need to watch that.
Firefly, I had that disappointment.
Firefly, that was intentional. It broke sci-fi tropes.
I know, but I want aliens in space.
Go watch something with aliens.
I want aliens in space.
Go watch Star Trek. Nobody's stopping you.
I do. I always want to see more aliens and different takes on aliens.
But at any rate, I still hold that stormtroopers are vastly better than clone troopers. They are humans. They are human volunteers and elite human volunteers.
Or kidnapped.
No. So here's how that's the First Order, which works differently from the Empire.
Right.
But the Galactic Palpatine Empire, what they do is they do have conscripts.
It's purely volunteer, because I know Luke was thinking about going and flying for the Empire.
The stormtroopers are purely first off, Luke always wanted to join the rebellion. He hates the Empire. But
no, don't they talk about like
he says it's not that he tells Obi-Wan early on that he hates the Empire and wants to join the rebellion and fight them.
Oh.
Because Biggs joined the rebellion. But so the Empire has conscripts. Hey, you're on an Imperial world. Congratulations, you're in the army. But then those who are exceptionally good at it, those are just your regular gray-shirted, pistol-wielding bodies to put on the field, right? Then you have the stormtroopers, which are actually an elite corps of specialized, like, commando units. And though that you have to volunteer for, and that you have to go through super rigorous training, and a lot of Star Wars watchers, fans, and EU stuff, they get that wrong. They think that stormtroopers are your basic ground pounding units, but in Episode 6 and even in Episode 5, we see a lot of like ground pounder units. But it makes sense that Vader would take his personal corps of elite troops to go capture Princess Leia. And it makes sense that he would, an entire legion of the best troops, stormtroopers, would be waiting for Han Solo on Endor.
Oh, which reminds me, another thing pointed out for Kevin Smith geekery, how in Clerks they say like they have to have contractors, right? They need plumbers, builders. The average stormtrooper can't unclog a toilet. Finn is sanitation.
Yes.
Finn unclogs toilets.
Yes, it does.
We answered that geek question.
Oh, man.
And then, well, if you want to talk a second about the year in review, it was a fantastic year for like all of the arts. Movies, video games, maybe music.
Video games, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't see many great video games this last year.
New Fallout, new Witcher.
Yeah, but Fallout came out in 2016.
Games. Super hot. Even Pony Island. There was a lot of great indie games. There are a lot of great games. Oh, what is it? Rocket League? Not Rocket League?
That I heard about. I know that was a huge push by Valve.
Yeah, I got it for PS4. The Oh, I guess it was this year that came out. But no, it was a great. It was also a great year for movies.
It was a pretty great year for movies. I'll agree. I really enjoyed Jurassic World, and I'm kind of sad people are done talking about it.
It's a B movie. You can't talk about it for too long until like the next one comes out.
Okay, it's kind of a B movie, but I like B movies best.
It's okay. That's all right. Just The Martian. I need to see. To fuel my anger, I need to see not Over the Top. How they push it. Not Spotlight, though that's close. I kind of want to see Spotlight too, but it seems boring. I forgot. I'm not gonna remember now.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
You know what it's about?
It's the movie about the financial crisis in 2008.
Oh, The Big Short.
The Big Short. That's what I want to see.
That looks good.
Right? Because they do it, but they do it from not the perspective of a bunch of bankers, not bankers necessarily, but bankers and businessmen that see it coming and then figure out ways to profit off of the upcoming crash. It seems good. I want to see that one.
But alas, I think it's time for me to sign off now. So,
do you have one cool thing fast?
One cool thing. Do you have one?
Oh God, I've been through so many that I actually But half these things. What is Ray's Dead? Is the note I have on here. Bridge of Spies. Hangover Morning Show. I think that's an idea for a video I had.
Oh, I do have one awesome thing.
Okay, you go first.
Okay, so I am a huge RPG nerd. Ray, you know that. You and I have gamed together on more than one occasion. And
Purge the city for the Emperor!
We've played a lot of 40K RPGs. There's one on Kickstarter right now for the next 15 days that I'm kickstarting. It is the biggest Kickstarter tabletop RPG of all time. And every day they're breaking more records and reaching more stretch goals. It's called Seventh Sea. And basically what it is an RPG about you being a musketeer and or a pirate and or a fencing swashbuckling dude. And
can you be a bard with magical ukulele powers?
You cannot be a bard, but you can be a noble with magic powers. And
okay.
And since you don't live in the regular world, there's monsters and stuff. Although you do live in totally not Europe, because instead of Italy, it's Vodace, and instead of Spain, it's Castile. And instead of the Vatican Church, the Vatican City, and the Catholic Church, it's the Vatican Church. And so you have totally not Britain, totally not France, totally not Russia, totally not Germany, stuff like that.
Okay.
But otherwise, it looks...
Is it one of those...
Go ahead.
Is it one of those pussy Kickstarters, or was it those awesome ones where you actually get the product if you put in $20?
Oh, no, you actually get the product.
Oh, nice. Those are my favorite kind.
And right now, if you kickstart even $1 toward this, you get free access. Well, not free because you're paying $1 or whatever you kickstart it. You get access to the Quick Start module, which is a very rules-light edition with pre-made characters, a very light set of the rules, and an adventure for you to run.
Okay. What's this called again?
Seventh Sea.
Seventh Sea.
The seven seas? This is the seventh sea.
Right. Yeah, that's the flaw with I see with other people doing one cool things is by the time they explain why I want something, I forgot what it was called.
Hang on, I'll send you a link if you want to add it into the video description.
Oh, I'll remember now. I'll remember. One thing I want to recommend. I don't remember if I've done Nerd Writer before. I might do that later, but there's the guys that do Laser Time and they do a bunch of other newer things. They put out a new podcast, which is 30-20-10, which goes over everything that happened in the week 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and 30 years ago. And I was listening to it, and I was surprised how right up my alley it was. Like at one point, they start talking about Night Court, and I have had Night Court on my brain for at least a couple of months. And I'm I kind of want someone else to talk about Night Court with me or to think about Night Court for a little bit because I remember it being really funny. But I was
watched the 30 Rock episode where they bring on the Night Court cast.
Right, and I actually haven't seen that one. They talk about that. I'm like, Night Court. And then they talk about it because Night Court, there's some milestone in Night Court that happened. I'm like, yes, someone talking about Night Court. But now then they also go through, they go through the 30 years ago, which I remember as like reruns. And then they talk about 20 years ago,
Yeah.
which I remember as a kid. And then like 10 years ago, which I remember as an embarrassed adult. Or, like in college on the cusp of being on. I still hate all of the music from 10 years ago, but
I don't think I hate all the music from 10 years ago, but there's not a whole lot great.
Right. And it's funny because a couple times they make fun of themselves. They're like, and then for the 4th week in a row or whatever, some like I Need a Hero or whatever is like the top of the charts. And I'm starting to see a flaw in the premise of our podcast. But going on, it's really entertaining. And I got a quote from there. Speaking of Garden State, did you see the Special Life of Walter Mitty or whatever?
Yes, I've seen both. It's amazing.
Okay.
Secret Life of Walter Mitty, by the way.
So talking about the Secret Life of Walter Mitty, talk about how it's like a misstep to make an indie kind of film when you're so late in life. Like Zoolander didn't get the memo that a 45-year-old man doesn't need to make his own garden state.
Okay. So quick aside, have you seen the original Secret Life of Walter Mitty?
I have not seen either.
You've seen neither?
I've seen neither.
Okay, we should add this to the next video.
Okay, I'll put it,
or at least the next videos down the line.
I'll put it in my things to do notes, which there are so many, but I will definitely look at it.
There's an old Secret Life of Walter Mitty with Danny Kaye, and then there's the new one with Ben Stiller.
I'm gonna stop the live show now. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.